Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents Fragrances. There's new ones, including a new Lattafa Khamrah, which doesn't look at all like all the Khamrah that have come before this new Khamrah. Lattafa loves to do it like one per year. They're the opposite of Rasasi with Hawass. They like to do one per month, which by the way, I ordered the 3 new Hawass fragrances, so I'll have videos out on those soon. And it was stupid expensive, like $80 each. But yeah, a new Khamrah. Also more information on the new Prada Paradigme, a new Ralph Lauren Ralph's Club New York, some new L'Aventure fragrances. Feels like Haramain just a little bit behind the times, and some other stuff as well. So all kinds of new info on new fragrances. I'm gonna have linked in the description where you can go check this info out on your own if you want to. Shout out ifragranceofficial.com. Lots of the info I'm gonna share with you pulled from their website, which again is gonna be linked below. So let's get kicked off with that new Ralph Lauren. So this is a new Ralph's Club. It is a flanker to their Ralph's Club New York release, which that one they really focused on black currant. Like with the initial advertisements and everything for the brand, that's really what they were pushing. Like, oh, it's a black currant fragrance. And that one is really good. Fantastic for year-round use, nice compliment puller, great versatility, all of that. This new one is called Ralph's Club New York Parfum. They went out on a limb with this name right here. Slap Parfum on the end, yeah. Now the new bottle looks pretty slick actually, because the original Ralph's Club New York, that one's in a silver kind of mirrored finish, really big fingerprint magnet. This new one basically looks like bronze essentially. I'm assuming it's gonna have that same mirrored kind of finish, but it looks good. Now this one was just dropped, but it doesn't even have full notes yet. Basically just seems like it popped up at some Ralph Lauren stores and people kind of went in and they were like, what's this new thing? And even the people working there weren't exactly sure. So the full note breakdown not available yet, but there's a little bit of stuff that we can parse just by looking online. So a lot of places are saying that this is in the fragrance family of Gourmand Amber Woody. Discover a deeper and more intense journey into the heart of the city, a sophisticated and mysterious Amber Woody parfum for men, capturing the vibrant energy and iconic spirit of a New York private club, an undeniable statement of modern power. And some of these pictures on Instagram are made with AI. Nice. Ooh. Now only a few people have gotten their hands on this so far. I'm not one of them. And the word so far is that this stuff is really, really, really strong and sweet. So if you're one of those people who's not a big fan of the current, you know, vanilla kind of overtaking of men's fragrance, not saying this is gonna be a vanilla bomb, but apparently it does have a bit of that sweet tooth going on. As I said before, Ralph's Club New York, the original, really, really good. So I'm looking forward to this a lot. Although I do wish we had more information because right now, not too much to go on, but for now, just be aware that's coming. And I'm sure within the next probably 3 or 4 days, we're gonna have the full note breakdown and it may even pop up for sale. Also, completely as an aside, Valentino has a Born in Roma hair mist line. So for the ladies, body mist and hair mist, caramel crush, vanilla bliss, golden coconut, and salty pistachio. When I saw them for a split second, I was excited. I was like, whoa, is this like a unisex line? Something we could all potentially wear? And then I looked into them and it was like, no, it's made for women. It's like body and hair mist. But maybe if you're in a store, check them out, see if they're remotely wearable or if they're turbo feminine. A couple of them have note breakdowns that, depending on how they come across, they could be usable as just like a cheap kind of like layering fragrance, you know, something you could spray alongside something else, something like that. But yeah, those are coming out. It would be great if on the guy side of things, we could get something similar like that from time to time, but that never happens for us. I'm not sure if it would be like a really big seller or not, you know, having a men's line of fragrances that are marked down considerably, so they're way cheaper, but they're not necessarily that type of thing that's crazy powerful. You know, a little bit more simple, but still with good quality ingredients. And as I said, something that might work really well in terms of layering. That could be really cool, but as far as, you know, the men's fragrance shelves in stores, they don't really want to dedicate any space towards anything like that, so. Oh well. Okay, next up, let's talk really quickly about the new Haramain fragrances. And these technically were announced, you know, towards, I think, the end of last year, but they've started to pop up where you can find them more frequently, and on some sites they're popping up as like brand new. And I gotta admit, they completely skated by where I didn't even notice them until now. So it's L'Aventure Extreme and L'Aventure Sport, which L'Aventure is essentially like Haramain's version of Hawass. Basically, they're gonna put stuff out in there and it doesn't necessarily have to tie in together. And to me, this is kind of, again, all Haramain almost being asleep at the wheel. But we'll kind of dive into that in just a moment. So the first one, L'Aventure Extreme. This one opens with pineapple and citrus. I wonder what that could be. L'Aventure, pineapple. Oh. Anyway, opens with pineapple and citrus before moving into the heart of cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, and black currant. As it settles, patchouli, vetiver, and pink pepper create a dry, confident base that feels strong, refined, and long-lasting. It's a fragrance that pushes boundaries and leaves a fearless impression. And what boundary could be pushed by this scent? Well, of course, the boundary of smelling like Absolute Aventus. Oh, and the bottle is all black as well. How convenient. Now, I'm not assuming that it smells bad. Okay, so that's not what I'm saying here, because most of the Haramain L'Aventure fragrances are pretty good. The issue I have with this one is that at this point, it's almost like Haramain is kind of asleep at the wheel.
You don't want to work. You just want to make noise.
They had first mover advantage. They were one of the first major clone houses that people paid attention to. Worldwide, I mean. They were like one of the first ones that were here, there, and everywhere. But it's almost like they act as if it's still 2018. They're gonna come out with fragrances a year or 2 years after all the other houses have, and they're gonna hit you with just this type of name. Oh, L'Aventure Extreme. That's gonna get people hyped.
That's just lazy writing.
Let's look at the other one as well. As I said, that one's called L'Aventure Sport, which also not the most exciting name. This one opens with a blend of pear, bergamot, orange, and ginger, delivering a crisp, fresh, and vibrant introduction. The heart reveals notes of orange blossom and Georgie wood, adding brightness with a subtle woody edge. As it settles, musk, cedar, and akigala wood form a smooth, long-lasting base that feels fresh and confident. So, yeah, I haven't smelled it, but I'd say that's Blue Talisman. It's pretty much the exact same note breakdown, and in that write-up, they don't mention Amberfix, but that is on the official note breakdown for this fragrance. So yeah, I mean, that's gotta be Blue Talisman. These ones you can find at JOMASHOP. That's actually where I saw them and I was like, oh, what's going on here? 50 bucks. So going back to what I was saying before, Haramain, you're coming out with stuff way after multiple other brands have already released it at a price point higher than pretty much all these other ones. And you're basically just going, well, we'll just throw it into the L'Aventure line because people know it. We'll call one sport and one extreme. What could go wrong? I don't imagine too many of you out there are scrambling to immediately go buy another Blue Talisman, an Absolute Aventus alternative, but there they are, and I will take the bullet and spend 100 bucks on both of those and see how they are. Also, of course, I want to let you guys know there are multiple discount codes linked in the description. You can copy and paste those on a bunch of different fragrance websites, including JOMASHOP, and save yourself additional money anytime you shop at any of those stores. Also on the screen here, all those codes. All right, the new Prada Paradigme, we talked about this in the previous video. It's called Paradigme Le Parfum. At the time, there was no note breakdown, now there is. And that note breakdown is bergamot off the top, gourmand geranium in the mid, and leathery vanilla. And then in the base, Peru balsam, benzoin, gaiac wood, and amber ever. And you gotta love with the amber ever, everybody having their unique amber and amber woody type aroma chemicals and just popping them in there, you know? Gives it flavor. Amber Extreme? Oh, this one has Amber Ever. Way better. The new write-up for Paradigme Le Parfum is as follows. The intense masculine fragrance from Prada is an ambery, woody signature that opens on the warm sensuality of amber woods, composed of Peru balsam, benzoin resin, and vigorous gaiac wood. Vigorous. The ambery woody facets are now enhanced by Amber Ever, the next generation molecule with unprecedented power, diffusion, and lastingness. And this write-up is from Scent Advice. I do so love that they're like Amber Ever. Okay, that's what we got here. This is the next generation molecule, sucker. Amber Extreme, pathetic. Amber Woods, what even is that? It's generic. This is Amber Ever. Yeah, that's the good stuff. At the heart, a leathery vanilla, reinvented, all masculine, and entwined with the gourmand geranium, revealing floral, rosy facets for an unmissable gourmand signature. A 12-hour long-lasting scent, making Paradigme Le Parfum a hyper-lasting and sensual fragrance, instantly noticed and complimented. So it has unprecedented power, diffusion, and lastingness, a 12-hour long-lasting scent that is also hyper-lasting, in case you missed any of that. Now, when you look at that note breakdown, it's not crazy different from the original Paradigme as far as just the top, mid, and base, because the original had bergamot, musk, geranium, Peru balsam, benzoin, and gaiac wood. So really, the main difference here is no musk, add in amber ever, add in leathery vanilla, and say that the geranium is gourmand geranium. It's very obvious though, looking at that write-up from the brand, that this is supposed to be strong. Like, they obviously know that a lot of people nowadays are comparing directly, does it last 12 hours? And if it doesn't, they're going, well, I don't like that, that's normal. I want people to cough when I walk around. And so Prada went, okay, we got you, fam. And that's what's going on here. So new Prada Paradigme Le Parfum, that's the full rundown of that scent. Let's talk Khamrah. So the new one is called Khamrah Waha. And this one is gonna probably get hyped really quick. Latafa does get their fragrances like this into the hands of people that work with the brand regularly. So you're probably gonna see some of that like now, but I don't think it's officially for sale yet. Just be aware, as always. This one has top notes of cucumber, bergamot, yuzu, and juniper, the mid of ginger, iris, sage, and sea salt, and a base of akigala wood, tonka, vanilla musk, and amberfix. It is done by Jordi Fernandez, and I'm assuming that the way they're initially going to pitch this is like, oh, this is a Lattafa original. Because a lot of Middle Eastern brands are taking that route right now, where they're basically taking an existing DNA, putting a little twist on it, and then they're pitching it as like, oh, this is an in-house original. Or they're taking, two fragrances and putting them together, like a hybrid. You've seen a bunch of that lately, and they're pitching that as, oh, it's an original, it's an in-house original. So it wouldn't surprise me if the same deal is happening here, where it's not necessarily a one-to-one with something else, but it is a twist or a hybrid, and they're gonna pitch it that way. Now, just looking at the note breakdown, and of course, with the understanding that this is in the Khamrah line, and the styling of the bottle and everything else like that, I have a couple ideas. I would assume that it's most closely related to a by Kilian fragrance. Again, I don't think it's gonna be a one-to-one or anything like that, or even really positioned as a one-to-one, but Blue Moon Ginger Dash, that would be what I would assume it's gonna be most similar to, with a possible twist or secondary influence, hybridization, whatever you wanna call it, of Roses on Ice. Roses on Ice mainly because of that cucumber. I mean, that note definitely jumps out. Anytime you look at a note breakdown and you see that in there, you're like, well, that's not typical, is it? So if it is indeed taking that aspect from any fragrance, I think that's the one that it's gonna be from, Roses on Ice, because of that cucumber juniper combo. But then the ginger, the icy aquatic freshness, that seems to be more so what this is based on, just looking at the note breakdown and everything. And that's what makes me think of Blue Moon Ginger Dash, of it being closer to that. I'm going to assume they're gonna have that performance ramped up, because if it isn't, you're gonna have a big blowback of a lot of people saying it's not worth it because of that performance. Because really, I think when you're talking Middle Eastern brands, clone brands, inspired by brands, that whole deal, that at this point, the expectation is it's gonna be at least solid performance, right? Anything average, I feel like, automatically is gonna be hated on, and really the expectation is that it's gonna be very strong. So just be aware, it looks like Latafa is really trying to get this as kind of a coordinated like hype right out of the gate. And like I mentioned before, the hype on this seems to be already kind of spinning up. So I would take initial reactions with a little bit of a grain of salt. Could it be absolutely amazing? For sure. Could be insane. Could be one of the better summer releases of the year, hands down. Just don't let that FOMO take over, and the first time that you see it listed for 80 bucks, like I just did with these new Rasasis, go like, I have to have it, and then kind of regret it when a month later it's 35 bucks. Just take a deep breath and pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. When you're adding it to the cart and you're thinking to yourself, should I do this? Pump the brakes. And I think the last thing as well with this new Khamrah Waha, so close to Khamrah Waha. That one would be for the people who love the Wawas. But it is very different, note breakdown wise and everything else, from all the other Khamrah fragrances. So they're clearly trying to take this line now in another direction, because you can draw a very, very strong line from Khamrah to Khamrah Kawa, Khamrah Dukhan, and now this one veers off. So this is kind of setting up what is to come in the future, different Khamrahs that are not really in line at all with what the original one was, for better or worse. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up really quickly with the new Issey Miyake, L'Odyssée Eau Essentielle. This one has a very simple note breakdown, ginger off the top, nutmeg and lavender in the mid, Gaiac wood in the base. I think the bottle here looks beautiful. It's simplistic, but it's clean. It just looks nice, you know? Typically with Issey Miyake fragrances, spring and summer ones anyway, they like to keep it fresh, minimalistic, clean, that type of thing that you can just grab, spray, go, that can appeal to pretty much anybody. You know, they don't lean into the really sweet side of things, really. They keep a nice woodiness typically at the base of the fragrance of most all of their fresh ones. I noticed no citrus here, but usually they do have citrus even if it's not listed. And I would imagine this is gonna be that type of fragrance for somebody just looking for a bit of a classy everyday wear that still has that freshness to it, you know, just that very clean, mellow vibe. But I want to reiterate once again, Issey Miyake, come out with more stuff for fall and winter and don't discontinue it immediately. Thanks. They have some of the most banging fragrances for cool weather, if you could find them. All right, there it is. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me. Let me know in the comments which of these new releases you're looking forward to the most. I would imagine most people say the Khamrah. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.